Well, I've had a little hiatus from movie reviews, but this is Film Daffodil, your favourite movie review. Matt Reeves, who artfully directs this darkly noir 1990s throwback, clearly being inspired by David Fincher and Nirvana's nihilistic tones. This is relentlessly dark, endlessly raining. Everything is shot in near pitch black. Nearly every scene is in virtual darkness. A light from a bike or a flare seems to lead the audience. Daytime scenes are washed out or dark grey. Colour is used only in nighttime red or flashes of fire. Reeves' previous work includes The Pallbearer of 1996 with David Schwimmer and Gwyneth Paltrow, The Dawn of the Planet of the Apes in 2014 with Gary Oldman, Kerry Russell, Andy Serkis as Caesar, War of the Planet of the Apes in 2017 with Andy Serkis again and Woody Harrelson, Cloverfield in 2008, to mention just a few of top-rated movies in his filmography. Identity seems to be running throughout this entire movie. Gotham City is gripped by crime and people's identities are hidden. From the petty criminals in the street to the master criminal played by Paul Dano as the Riddler. His first victim, Mayor Don Mitchell Jr.'s face, is covered by a mask. The Riddler's main charge against him being that he wasn't who he said he was. Gotham itself seems to be fighting for its own identity in the midst of a serial killing spree. Selena Kyle's working in the seedy underbelly of Gotham's nightclub scenes covers her own identity whilst seeking to uncover the disappearance of her friend, Nika, or Baby.
Where's Annika? Out of my face.
This Batman is all about the close-up. Everything is shot in a shallow depth of field, with deeply blurred background. Reeves wants you to see Batman's eyes, a window to the soul. Reeves makes clear decisions in his visual language. It's visceral, and Batman is much more human. Still working through the trauma and loss of his parents, less a clean superhero as the Christian Bale iteration. We have seen go through the Tibetan discovery of who the Batman really is, and has a defined symbol and narrative. Bale's Batman is a highly skilled SAS type of combatant who has learnt to differentiate between his Batman and Bruce Wayne persona, whereas Pattinson's Batman is more of a broken, hurting, and learning Batman. This Bruce Wayne is self-aware. He doesn't even know if Batman is working. He has been doing it for 2 years. Even he says crime has gotten worse since he started. This iteration of Batman is messy. It's gritty. And of course he has to wear eyeliner to cover up his eyes inside that cowl. Come on, Burton. What were you thinking?
Why are you dressed up like Batman?
One of the things I think that makes this Batman much more relatable is that Batman experiences moments of actual fear, standing on the precipice of having to undergo a death-defying act. Base jumping off a building will make you take a breath. The director Reeves draws us close through his eyes. We're seeing things as Batman experiences. We get to feel what it's like to base jump off a building and crash land bruised and beaten. And he falls and quite seriously injures himself. That's quite human. Yet, everything about this film cries out teenage angst and methadone at a Nirvana concert in the 1990s. If you were there, Kurt Cobain has sadly left the building, and every grunge fan is in mourning. I didn't know if we needed another Batman. Christian Bale seemed to do a pretty good job. Batfleck was an empty promise. Robert Pattinson, well, didn't seem like he had the goods in being the dark, menacing creature roaming the night, providing violent justice. Hold up a minute. We have seen glimpses of this before in the Twilight Saga, where he plays a quiet, silent creature. There are definitely notes here that resonate with this character. Reeves draws from decades of comic iterations, focuses more upon the detective Batman rather than the spectacle. This Batman is still. Batman moves slowly through the crime scenes. At first, I thought, he's just standing there. Then you realize it's deliberate, intentional. Every scene depicts methodical Batman, quiet and observant. Much of the time, he's not even saying anything to add to the plot. Reeves wants the audience to discover the clues and the evidence through Batman's eyes. There are definitely elements of films such as Batman Returns that seem to play here, revisiting the Catwoman, the Penguin trio.
It's time for me to ascend. You didn't invite me.
So I crashed! Brilliant line.
I am Catwoman. Hear me roar.
Meow! Growing up in the 1990s, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman was it as far as I was concerned. However, 30 years on, Colin Farrell as the Penguin is unrecognizable.
It was one of the most exciting, jubilant, celebratory experiences I've had in making pictures in 20 years.
Colin plays the Penguin, the owner of the Iceberg Lounge in the east side of Gotham. This is a highlight in the movie. Colin's portrayal of the Penguin is pitch perfect.
Business. Want to know things about me? Why don't you send me a little email? I'll write you back real quick.
The Penguin is a sleazy, devil-may-care mafia type who has no empathy for the missing girl. He's in it for himself and what he can get out of Gotham. It was an enjoyable progression to see Batman fight his way into the Iceberg Lounge. The fight scenes in the Iceberg Lounge is visceral. The action is clear and intense. Batman showing that he can take a punch. Explosive violence follows each blow. It's well shot and the audience can see clearly what Batman is doing, rather than in the Christopher Bale version where the fighting is distant and personal and you can't see anything. Batman has to think on his feet, using whatever comes to hand. He doesn't yet have a perfect array of weapons for every situation, and just uses a bat.
You looking for me? See you with the twins. Boy, I hear everything they say, ain't you? I guess we both are. How you doing? I'm out.
And you can tell from this interaction that Batman is about to beat some proper information out of Oz. Selina Kyle interrupts the meeting between Batman and Oz, noticing information that may help her find her friend Anika. Something in this meeting between Batman and Selina, a recognition. Selina, obviously not wearing her cowl, sees that this Batman is wearing a mask. There's a sense of both of them hiding in plain sight. Batman is on the edge as a character. He's walking between what is right. Due to the vigilante pursuits, the line is somewhat blurred. But I have to question some of the choices here, where Selina is talking to her roommate. Batman isn't following a known criminal as part of his investigation. This is straight-up voyeurism. We see Selina through the lenses of binoculars. It's salacious, especially as she gets changed. And this, by any accounts, is crossing a line. It's voyeurism, and somehow this behavior directly mirrors the Riddler. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is where Batman interrupts a heist headed by the Penguin and gets shot. Next, he's trying to start up his Bat muscle car and seems to not know how to start it. Everyone's like, the following scene where Batman chases the Penguin down the freeway, it's hard to know who is more unhinged, Batman or the Penguin. However, this scene is flashy and visceral. Batman does drive up a ramp that conveniently places itself just where he needs it to be. He escapes being engulfed by a great big ball of fire. However, this scene is highlighted in the trailers for good reason. It's a great set piece. The Penguin kind of disappears after this and doesn't return to the end of the movie, which is a shame because Colin Farrell's portrayal hints at a great hero-villain dynamic. There are so many moving parts in this film that juggling for screen time is part of the reason this film is 2 hours and 56 minutes long. Are you the owner of this vehicle, sir? License and registration. Andy Serkis plays Alfred, and there's nothing inherently wrong with it. Here, he has adopted a kind of father/psychic role, solving clues. Early in the movie, they came across a cipher, and they got to solve it. However, I just don't know how they did it. It just seemed to appear on the screen out of nowhere. It just came over as lazy. As though they just completed a computer game or something. There really wasn't anything particularly notable about this performance, and it only served really to being blown up by the Riddler so that he could speak some exposition.
Something terrible is gonna happen!
I'm afraid it already has, sir.
And that's all she wrote about Alfred. And that's the end of him in this story. What a complete waste of a really good actor. But then there's Jeffrey Wright as Lieutenant James Gordon. Whereas Alfred was relegated to delivering exposition in hospital, it was a recognizable throwback and a nod to the Morgan Freeman Brad Pitt buddy cop genre that makes this movie a serious contender as a crime thriller. Jeffrey Wright plays a significant supporting role and is in danger of toppling Gary Oldman, who became more prominent in the Dark Knight trilogy. And by way of being a person of colour, Jeffrey brings that. He is a solid actor and played similar supporting roles in things like James Bond, Westworld and Hunger Games. The Batman swears vengeance against the criminal underworld, tempered with the ideas of justice. The Batman is just simply filled with rage, and he doesn't really know what his identity is, and this is why he says, "I'm vengeance." Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon acts as his partner to solve the crimes of the Riddler.
What?
A series of heinous clues helps Gordon and Batman get closer to the Riddler, who is set on exposing anyone he believes is hiding their true identity.
Again, till our day of judgment, when the truth about our city will finally be unmasked.
Hey, why am I starting to feel like a fish on a hook? I'm just looking for Annika.
The relationship dynamic between Selina and Batman is of two different agendas. Selina only wants to find her friend, but her relationship with Falcone places her in direct conflict with Batman. However, he seems to think that this mysterious person could be something to get her out of her situation. Batman, of course, wants to infiltrate the Iceberg Lounge, this time through her, instead of punching his way through to ID all the players. They clearly misunderstand each other. The question is, will Batman be able to identify all the powerful, corrupted people connected to the seedy underworld and prevent the Riddler from exposing them and displaying their real identity to the rest of Gotham through their grisly deaths? Selina's murky relationship with Falcone is a bit of a surprise and complicates the dynamics. Once she realizes that Falcone is behind the death of her roommate, she decides that she's going to punish Falcone.
Been a long time since I've seen you down here. How you been?
Here you see Batman working with Selina, but Selina is working with Batman, but not without a hitch.
You're pretty good at that.
The Batman sees himself as vengeance through this movie and doesn't say the famous line,
I'm Batman.
He feels he needs to set Gotham free of the crime that prevents it or him from being his true self. The Riddler's misguided righteous indignation of these corrupt individuals, such as the District Attorney Coulson, Commissioner Pete Savage, and Mayor Don Mitchell, represent the power trio of corruption in Gotham. The Riddler feels that he alone is ridding Gotham of the scum of the city. The Riddler taunts Batman and the city, confronting it with the reality of its corruption. Despite the suit, Batman is not quite a hero yet. Somehow, his own unresolved darkness is reflected back to him through these villains. The question is, how is he to overcome his own personal demons? Is it through defeating the Riddler and the Penguin? He begins to recognize that he can't do it alone. The odds are insurmountable, and he begins to realize that he needs people like Coulson and Selina to stop the Riddler from tearing Gotham apart.
Who are you?
Nobody. I'm just an instrument, here to unmask the truth about this cesspool we call a city.
See how much it costs for you to turn your back.
58 seconds!
How much?
Come on!
How much?
Quick! Hurry! It's gonna blow! Despite being caught, the Riddler seemingly has one or two tricks up his sleeve. He has caused the death of Falcone in front of Selina, but the Batman knows there is more, as he has realized that the Riddler seeks to unmask the Batman. With the help of Selina and Gordon in the last set piece, he is able to defeat the Riddler's final showpiece. This is definitely worth waiting nearly 3 hours for. It's filled with all the elements that Batman is known for, and it's well shot. I really enjoyed it. Batman comes to understand that his power and wealth is his to help others, and this is why I think this Batman has to be one of the most interesting character arcs I've seen in recent history, from the extremely silly Adam West version in the 1960s to the return to the dark persona of the Michael Keaton era, which started to explore the psychology of the Batman and the effects of trauma, to the very cartoony Val Kilmer and George Clooney era. This Batman has a realization that although vengeance may be a tool to defeat the petty criminals of Gotham, compassion for others and leading the way out of darkness is where true identity lays. In a world filled with mistrust and war and division, at the very least this movie is trying to move people from their anger, outrage, self-righteousness to recognizing that in helping people, that is true strength. Looking back is part of the problem, when all we see is loss, brokenness, and hurt. However, being able to develop relationships that are meaningful in the presence allow us to glimpse, just a little, with hope. Well, I hope you really enjoyed this review. It did take me 4 days, as I think some of the issues here are relevant, but what did you think? Did you like the movie? Is the Batterson a good Batman? Did you prefer Batfleck or Michael Keaton, or one of the others? Let me know your thoughts about this film and this review. Also, help me make more reviews that you would like to see by letting me know in the section below what film you want me to review next. If you like this review, I have made it another, and I'll put it in the link right here. It's for Spider-Man No Way Home. It's been out a little while, but it's still worth watching. So for now, I'll say goodbye, and I'll see you in the next video.